Hey, welcome to another edition of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. And when this airs, we'll be right in the thick of district play in basketball. Be sure to check out ProviewNetworks.com to get our live schedule for all the basketball events. And if you haven't done so yet, get your NFHS Network Pass. We'll be covering all the basketball games as the tournament starts. That's always an exciting part of the year. Pretty excited to have my guest in. This guy's a hard guy to get in studio. I'm just going to put that out there right now. But he's one of the guys in the city that just doesn't get the publicity and love he deserves. Probably because he started at Highland, goes to Sandia, that kind of thing. I don't know why he doesn't get the pub, but DeAnte Bernard, one of the premier athletes in the city, is my guest. Welcome in, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, it's been a while, right? But we made it work, right?
Had a bunch of stuff going on, getting school ready,
Right. I hope I didn't get you out of Alvin's practice. I'm going to have to hear about that if I did.
No. We did.
All right. So talk about talk about a little bit of your upbringing. You've lived in a lot of places. What brought you all the way to New Mexico?
When I was born in North Carolina, then I moved to Japan, then from there to Florida, and then now here. Really moved around a lot because my dad was in the military, so wherever his job went, we went with him. Moved out here to New Mexico because of his job, because he had got a job offer out here for the military. He was in the Air Force for 21 years, so he came here, retired, and now he's chilling here, and now waiting for me to graduate.
Well, we certainly want to thank your dad for his service.
Of course.
How tough is that on a young athlete, when you're always moving around, right? Is that tough to gain any kind of continuity in one place, in one club, or whatever?
Yes, it's tough at first, getting used to it. I feel like moving around, getting used to trying to fit in with everybody. Obviously, these new places, I'm a young kid, just trying to fit in. Especially go from Florida to New Mexico is a very big difference. The beaches out there to the sand out here, it's very different. So I guess moved out here when I was in 5th grade, 6th grade. So I don't know. I was young, so it wasn't as much of a problem as it would have been if I was older. So I was just fitting in, just being a kid, really.
When did your love of athletics? You're a multiple sports guy, so when did that all start?
I think since I was young age, I think I started playing football and basketball when I was 4 or 5. So it's always been instilled in me. It's been a part of my life for forever now. So it's just, I'm used to it.
Talk about your family and your dad's influence on you athletically when you were young.
I had family support at a very young age. My dad was, even though he was getting deployed and stuff, he was still around for every game. He coached me when I was young and up until now, until the point now. So he's coached me my whole life. So just the family support I've had from my mother and my father, even my sister and my brother, it's been very great for me.
So you started when you were very young. Which was your favorite sport back then?
It was always a tie. It was just a tie. Everyone would ask me that question, be like football or basketball, but it's always been a tie for me because I always have love for the sport, both sports.
So what do you say to those kids? There's always a big debate about specialization, right? Mm-hmm. We're in the age of specialization where guys play one sport year round, but you've always been a multiple sport star. How's that helped you?
It's helped me great. I think helped me my explosiveness in basketball. And football has helped me with my explosiveness in basketball. Being year round, I feel like I kind of get a break from one sport, even though it might seem like a bad thing, getting a break from one sport and then switching my skill set a little bit to the next sport. It's helped me greatly with my speed and just getting stronger in general. So
middle school, you're in Albuquerque at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that a little bit. What sports did you participate in then? What was your athletic development like at that time?
Middle school, football, basketball. Obviously basketball at school at Tony Hillman up in by Volcano Vista. That was interesting. First middle school experience playing for a school was cool. I had my friends to play football with, obviously, at school. It was just, I don't know, being a part of the public experience and being obviously in this new area. I fit in really well with the school and the kids I was with.
What were the differences on the playing field between some of the other places you've lived in Albuquerque?
I feel like obviously the humidity. There wasn't really that much of a difference. You would think there was a big difference because it's Florida and New Mexico, but it really like fitting in at that age, the young age, it wasn't really a difference for me.
So you get to Highland.
Mm-hmm.
First impressions?
I had always been around Highland because my dad coached there, so I'd been around Highland since I was in 7th grade, around the guys there for the football team and basketball team. And it really blended well because I already knew the guys, so it blended well. It was a great fit for me. Just Coach Brown obviously got me in there well, and the football coach at the time, Coach Stacy Washington, was a great coach for me too.
So you played football and you played basketball there at Highland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, was it always a dream to play one of those sports at the next level, or were you kind of already zeroed in on football, or was it still, well, take us through that.
At that point, the younger years, it was definitely still a tie between both of them, but I think a little bit of freshman going into sophomore year, I decided to start focusing more on football and start going to more football camps instead of basketball.
And then at that point, I mean, did you have a dream college that you would end up in, or what was your thoughts post high school?
I never had a dream college. I don't know. I like college teams and certain college teams, but I never had a dream college. I just wanted to focus on myself and be as great as I could be at the next level.
And then, this is certainly not a shot at Highland, but when you realize you want to play at the next level, I mean, is there something that starts to creep in, like, can I get the exposure I need here at this place?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but with football, it's really not. It's just football's more get the film, and then you have to get out the state and go to these different camps everywhere to get exposure. Really, it's not about having coaches come here and making coaches come. You have to get out to the coaches, especially being in a small state of New Mexico. Yeah.
So it never got into your mind that playing on a bad team would hinder your development. I guess that wasn't an issue.
It wasn't much of the teams. It was the teams we were playing. As long as I played up to the levels the teams we were playing, and I knew that I could still play at the next level and get the looks I wanted to get.
And what went into deciding to transfer?
It was a little bit of the coaches getting some of the coaches getting fired, and just it's a different switch. I feel like I needed a different change academically because I was at a charter school actually, and I wanted to. I had an IB program at San Diego, just to change academically, challenge myself a little bit, and see where I could get academic also for like college looks.
So was that a tough thing? I mean, obviously you're leaving teammates behind. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was a little tough thing. Most of my friends were older, so they had already graduated, but it was still a tough thing. I still talk to the people in my grade now and see how they are now. But yeah, adjusting to San Diego was a little different. Little different people there, but it was still fitting in really well, and it was a good experience.
Yeah, do you ever look back and think what could have been at Highland, or is that kind of, that's their thing now and I'm on to other things?
Yeah, I look back at, sometimes and wonder what it could have been, but yeah, on my own thing now, just looking to the future now.
Talk about Coach Brown a little bit. He's a personal friend of mine. He does games with me on Proview Networks. How did he help develop you as a young athlete and as a young man?
Coach Brown is he's a guy. I've known him since I was seventh or eighth grade, and he's developed me a lot. He's always gotten in my head, been around my shoulder, just been like another father figure in my life. But just development with him developing me, it was always yelling at me. He's a stern guy, so he got me hard and helped me out a lot.
All right, so pretend those cameras aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most embarrassing Coach Brown story you can tell me that I can use against him on the air or even in private? Because I like to, if you ever listen to any of our games we do together, I like to rib Coach Brown. So what's the most embarrassing Coach Brown story you can tell me?
Embarrassing? He's not really an embarrassing guy. But I think when we were at Highland, we ran a play, and I missed the layup, and he jumped up. He came back down. He tore his
Yes, was that the knee stomp story? All right.
That was because of me.
Yes, I'm glad we're into this. Yes, you've opened the door.
Yep.
Now we're rolling, Josh. We're not going to break yet. Forget it. We're going to go down this avenue some more. All right. So Old Man Brown tears his ACL in the game.
Yeah.
What does he say to you guys in the next timeout, next dead ball?
He tried to, he tried to play it off. He tried to act like he was cool. He tried to he was fine. Cool. Then we go into halftime. He's limping a little bit. We're like, what's wrong with Coach Brown? He's limping a little bit. Find out next day he tore his ACL, and he was still limping.
Did you say anything at halftime?
No, of course not. He was just like, keep playing the game. We're still in this. We're fine. Coach Brown. He's just gonna try to keep our head in the game. We're not worried about him. But yeah, he was.
So what kind of crap are you guys giving him the rest of the season after that day?
Oh, all of it. We're gonna bring him all the crap.
Who does that?
Yeah,
who just tears an ACL on the sideline?
That's how passionate he is about the game. He just was so into it that he jumped up and tore his ACL.
You think his brother Greg would have ever torn an ACL on the sideline?
Sometimes he gets up there too,
yeah?
But he's a lot more mellow than Coach Brown.
He's not as clumsy
of
and
course
goofy
not.
as Danny? Exactly. There it is. You already made my day, man. We're going to take a timeout, and we'll talk about that transition to Sandia right after the break.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
We're back with my guest, DeAnte Bernard. Now we'll take us to Sandia. Now you're a Matador. Your first impressions there, not athletically, but just on, transferring schools, the new campus. What's your first impressions of Sandia?
First impressions coming in, it was obviously a different school. I feel like we were obviously a little better than at Highland. So it was just trying to fit in where I could find out where I could fit in football and basketball, seeing how I could mesh with the guys instead of like having the guys trying to mesh with me, see how I can fit into the team and just make them better, both football
was
and
it
basketball.
Different academic challenges? I mean, what was different outside of sports? What was different?
Obviously with the IB program, it was I feel like it was a heavier workload, so I had to set aside some times to do homework. Even after practices, I would have long nights and set aside papers to do, and just all the homework they gave me.
And then football first, you get to Coach Barker there. What's different? What was different about the program, the expectations? Just take us through the everyday differences that you had to adjust to.
Everyday differences with Coach Barker, I feel like I wouldn't have to do as much. Obviously, as coming from Highland, I have to just focus on my positions and where I was at, and just try to be the best playmaker I could be. Just practice schedule same as at Highland, but really just I could specialize more on what I wanted to do and help focus on the next level for me.
And then basketball, new program there. Coach Broussard. Talk about the differences there.
Coach Broussard's he's a different guy. You can tell that he really passionate about the game. He wants us to just get out there and hoop. So that's what a big difference I feel like from Coach Brown and Coach Broussard is. Coach Broussard is he's more of a just get out there and hoop and be disciplined at the same time. Just get out there and play your game, but still be disciplined. So
would you say you took to both pretty easy transition in both sports?
Yeah, I would say a pretty easy transition. Yeah.
What are some of the things that made it easy? Whether that be teammates, whether that be coaches, what made it such a smooth transition?
Definitely both teammates and coaches. I knew some guys that on the football team already because I played with them in Yaffle. And then for same as basketball, I knew a couple guys on the basketball team because I played AAU with them. So yeah, just a seamless transition and just into the school in general.
Football, obviously this last season, probably record-wise not what you guys wanted, but just talk about that season overall.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but especially with all the injuries and stuff. But I feel like overall my goals were sort of met, even though I wanted to shoot high. Obviously, the record wasn't what we expected it to be, but it was just it was a grind all through. I try to keep the guys' heads up and try to get the younger guys especially into it because we know the younger guys are the future of the Sandia program. So try to get the younger guys up, especially specialize with them, focus on them more, and try to fight through games. Even though our record was what it was, we fought all the way to the end.
Now basketball, obviously in progress right now. Talk about that a little bit.
Basketball, we're hitting some adversity right now. We're just still trying to figure some things out. But I feel like towards the end of the season, we should come together and still be a good team. Yeah.
Let's go back to last season a little bit. I know I had you guys early in the season in a game against Las Cruces in the Academy tournament. and that was right before kind of you changed your guys' offensive style a little bit. And this year you guys seem to be running a little more. Yeah, obviously you dropped a tough one to Albuquerque High. What needs to fit? What needs to come together? What needs to change? Because to me, you guys look like an incredibly talented team out there.
Yeah, he hasn't any changed. I don't know what it. It's just we have certain little lapses in the game. I
Right.
feel like just we were there Albuquerque High the whole night. We just had little certain lapses in defense and offense, but on both sides. We just have lapses as a team, and those times we just need to stick together as a team and then get through them. We can't have as many missed layups and like little things. It's just little things with us, really.
Now that district obviously still wide open. You know, before that game, everyone's got a level record in district. So what's Coach Broussard mentioned about that? I mean, obviously the season's still in front of you. That district's up for grabs, especially with the big injury in Santa Fe to JB White, right? That district's right there. Well, I mean, has he said, hey, look, this isn't a chance us here with this injury. Everyone's on level footing right now. What's gone on behind the scenes there? Take us through that.
Obviously, we take it one game at a time as the next opponent to the next opponent. Right now, focusing on our next game, looking at our next opponent, just focusing on every week is obviously two different teams, so we just focus on those teams and see what we can do. We take it one game at a time. We don't look too far ahead in the future.
Now we have some football highlights here, some huddle highlights that we've pulled that we'd like to go through. Do you want to take us through these here?
Yeah, which one is this one? The touchdown. On this one, I cut in, and I kind of knew I had a beat on him, so I curve up on the side, and I see the easy end zone touchdown. Which one is this one? On interception, oh yeah, I baited the quarterback in that one. I saw that easy one coming.
Who's this against?
On DeAnte.
That's right.
Oh, this one, earlier in the game I had dropped an easy one, so I wanted to get it back. So I told coach to throw it up again, and I finally got it. Yeah, I was mad about that one. Oh, this interception, yeah. He was taking off, and I had him on it, and I knew it. The quarterback underthrew it, and I tried to get back. He was calling me a little bit, but I still got there. This one over top. This whole drive was a grind. Just getting down there, and I knew it. I knew I had to catch this ball and get a touchdown, and we finally got in there. Which was this one? Oh, the back of the end zone. Yeah, I just tried to squeak my feet in there. Another interception again. I was baiting the quarterback. This was right before halftime, I believe. I wanted to bait him into it so I can get another pick. Oh, the corner had been switching coverages on me all night, so I played with that a little bit, and I told the quarterback just throw it up top, and he got me. Oh, this slant. I knew the slant was wide open as soon as he motioned him over. Told coach to motion him over, and then the slant was wide open. All I had to do was catch it in the end zone.
Well, I noticed on most of those offensive highlights, some separation there, right?
Yeah.
We're making some defenders look bad here on Local Focus today. You guys are pretty open on some of those. Basketball, obviously, it's a little. Football, you're playing at the skill position, right? And I know Coach Barker was always real happy with your leadership with the young guys. Basketball, you're more of the defender, kind of. You do all the dirty stuff on the basketball court. Talk about the differences in those. Which do you relish more? You're the big play guy in football, but you're more of the enforcer and doing all the dirty stuff in basketball, right?
Yeah, they're very different for me. I pride myself on my defense, especially for basketball. So I like to lock guys down, especially the best players on the other team. Obviously, I like to lock them down and just play that gritty defense. And then obviously in football, it's more of a leader role, and I wanted just to lead young guys. In basketball this year, we don't have as many young guys, so I just wanted to fit in with the seniors and see what we can get done.
Now we're going to turn back to football here after the break, but obviously in those highlights, you see what would stand out to a college coach is the separation, the athleticism, the length, right? And so we'll talk about, what kind of attention you got during the football season, who was interested, and we'll go through all that after the break.
Of course.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
So football is obviously what you're going to be doing at the next level. So to get to that next level, you know, if we have an audience of younger guys that are trying to make it to the next level, talk about the work you put in. So take us through your average day.
Average day over the summer was obviously we would go in the weight room first, hit the weights, do some weight workouts, and then get out there on the field. Feet workout, obviously, catch about 100 balls a day. Just really focus on myself. That was the usual day in the summer.
Okay, and then in season, how do you balance that? Obviously, you're school, but then you're still doing individual stuff plus team practice. So take us through a day in season, what that's like.
In season, the focus is really, obviously you have the school and practice, but it really find ways to still work on yourself, obviously, in the weight room and on the field. I would get on the field early, catch some balls, and then after practice, I would still work with the quarterback and see what we can do in game.
And so your friends at Sandia, maybe that aren't going to be at the next level or that aren't in athletics, you know, what kind of sacrifices are you making where when they go out and maybe they do their own thing, right? You're still practicing, you got homework. So,
Yeah,
I mean, talk about the sacrifices you have to make to be an athlete at the next level.
Obviously, sacrifices are great because I know that at the next level, this will help me. Just looking back on my years, I know that all this grinding will help me for the next level and help me be better. And just looking at them, I'm like, yeah, I know I can't hang on with my friends now, but I know in the future, the next level is going to be more important for me, obviously.
So let's talk about attention you started getting. You know, what schools showed interest?
In the beginning, it was obviously light UNM, New Mexico State, and then I think the first real out of state one is Dartmouth up in New Hampshire up there. And they started looking at me, and then Air Force, obviously, and then some more came in. Then started some more small D2, small D3 schools, obviously like Trinity, San Antonio came in. And then we had West Point. West Point offered me, was looking at me after Air Force. And then we have New Mexico State just preferred walk-on offered me this past Tuesday. So yeah, just those main schools came in.
So let's backtrack a little bit because that's a lot. First of all, did you know, Josh, we had a genius on our set here? Dartmouth. That's, you know, they don't even let us visit the campus. That's how ordinary we are. But so obviously you're taking care of business in the classroom then, right?
Yeah, got to. That's
how important is that?
It's very important to me. That's why it's one of the reasons I transferred to San Diego because of the academics. The IB program over there is a great program. It's a very vigorous program, obviously. Just especially with the time management and looking at all the work, I knew that both academics and athletics would get me as a well-rounded person, as a well-rounded student, help me for the next level.
You know, and we've had guests on that have said, you know, hey, I didn't take care of the classroom, and that's going to stunt my growth. That's going to prevent something I wanted to do at the next level. So where did that drive to exceed academically come from? Has that always been most important to you?
Yeah, I think it was instilled in me at a young age. Obviously, coming here, I've always had A's and B's, really. And even at my last school, at my charter school, I've always had A's and B's, and I just wanted to. I knew that getting low grades was never my thing, and I would never fall below that point to get low grades.
So you said New Mexico State offered preferred walk-on. Well, when did that happen?
Actually, right before signing day on Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, that changed my.
Did that kind of mess your world up there right before signing day?
A little bit, changed my decisions up a little bit. So I still have to look at my. I'm still waiting on my decision. Still looking at other schools. Obviously, I have to go down there and visit New Mexico State because they have a program down there that I'm looking at. So, but I'm still keeping my options open. But I've dialed it down a little bit, obviously.
So what visits have you taken?
I think 2 weeks ago I went to West Point Army. Went up there for a visit. Then I went to I think this past Friday I went to Western New Mexico. Also offered me some. And then we got Trinity in San Antonio. So those are the main ones that I went on a visit to, and obviously dialing it down to make a choice.
So what did you think about those visits? What did you think of the campuses, the facilities, the towns? I mean, what about West Point? Let's talk about that.
West Point was obviously way different than Trinity and Western, especially with the Army feel. It was just, I got to walk on the day of a cadet, so just looking at that up there and the mess hall, it was an experience just to see like the way, with the honor, and it was just an honor just to be up there. It was cold obviously, but New York was just an experience. It was great.
Now, does your dad, Air Force guy, does that kind of weigh in that decision a little bit? I mean, does that kind of put the service academies in a certain place on your list? Talk about that.
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but still, he knows that it's my choice and he wants it to be my choice, so he gives me as many options and opportunities as possible. He says, at the end of the day, it's your choice, so you have to make a choice. So what was your short list before you heard from New Mexico State? What were you kind of looking at then? It was Air Force, West Point, and Trinity was the main ones, and Western, obviously.
And then you said Tuesday was when you got that call?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that. Who called, what?
It was Coach Sokup, so he offered me a walk-on over there, preferred walk-on, and I had already looked at the program down there, but I was like, I don't know if I want to go down there and not play football. But then now with this offer, I was like, yeah, maybe. So I'll still go down there, visit, and see how it is, and dial down and figure out my decision. Yeah.
So how has that changed things? Obviously, that's slowed down the process a little bit right now because you're going to consider them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still looking at it. Still looking at the schools I was looking at before, but now just taking them into consideration. Just have to sit down really and just dial it down and see which schools.
What preferred walk-on? What scares you about that? Any trepidations about that?
Not really. Not anything that scares me about that. It's D1, and I'm going to have to work my way up into the lineup, which I appreciate. I have to prove myself at the next level, which is I'm fine with because I've been trying to prove myself basically my whole entire career in football and basketball, just trying to prove myself. So it's another opportunity.
What are you looking at on the academic side when it comes to college? What do you want to study?
Somewhere in the business world, but down in New Mexico State, they have a fashion and designing little program they have down there. So,
it's funny that you mentioned that because I was going to wear that same hat today, and that would have been embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been, all right, fashion design, okay, cool. So when do you anticipate making that final decision?
Around sometime next week, in the middle of the week, yeah.
And so you'll sit down with your dad, and what goes into a decision like that? I mean, is it as old school as listing pros and cons, or what goes into the decision?
Yeah, I feel like it's that and some more, like obviously location, but really, it's just pros and cons for me. Like, what school has this, what school has that? Pros and cons, looking at comparing all the different schools and just seeing what's the best fit for me.
So since you're into that whole fashion thing and you brought that up, like when you go out with your teammates, like, are you the final judge? Are you like, no, Elijah, try again. No, that one's not going to work either. No, do they run those choices by you and then you make a final team decision, or?
No, they think I'm the weird one, so I wear all this stuff and they be like, yeah, but they got their own thing, I got my own thing.
Okay, all right. So you don't ever tell anyone, no, dude, we can't wear that.
Sometimes we'll be like, it's not it, but I stick with my own stuff.
So who's the best dressed on the team right now, basketball? Is it you?
Best dressed? I would say me.
Yeah, and then if you couldn't say you, is there anyone's fashion game on that team that you're like, all right, he's got it a little bit?
No, I don't think so.
No?
It's just average.
Work in progress?
Yeah, work in progress. We got to work in progress.
All right. I don't know why no one was talking about DeAnte Bernard during the season, but obviously it's a great story, and he's got some big choices ahead of him. And let us know, okay?
Of course. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Yep.
Next week we'll be back with an all-new guest. Thanks for joining us on Local Focus. Good night, everybody.